Part of me just never understood why the get the baddest karma ever. Like, I don't even know how it be karma because I genuinely don't be doing shit to nobody. I really am a good person. Like, I fed a homeless dude, got him and his friend's son a drink, bought him some food, got him a lift wherever the go to some shelter and everything, and bought them some clothes. Like, and then same day, I lose my car, I lose my man, lose my job. Who the helping serial killers, rappers? Who the helping? Who? The Ku Klux Klan?
Tonight, a family is asking for answers after a 20-year-old mother was shot and killed in Mount Airy Forest. WLWT News 5's Daisy Kershaw speaking with her loved ones tonight. She now joins us live with the latest on this case and their fight for justice. Hey there, Daisy.
Rachel, Lanyah Dawson's family says she was a loving older sister, a mother, and a caring friend to all. Just after midnight on Saturday, Cincinnati police say she was shot and killed and left in the forest.
She was a beautiful person and a beautiful soul. She kept us laughing all the time. And I would do anything in the world for her.
A baby's desperate cries pierced the silence of a Cincinnati home. But the mother who poured her heart into her child will never come back. Tonight, I unravel a bone-chilling true crime mystery. The brutal execution of a young mother, her life stolen in a calculated killing that left her dreams shattered and her family searching for answers. This is Lanyah Dawson's story, a 20-year-old whose final moments are cloaked in deception and unsolved secrets. Welcome to True Crime's venue, where we bring to light stories of real people, tales of mystery, sorrow, and hidden warnings that often go unnoticed. Today, we're diving into one of the most gruesome murder cases in recent Cincinnati history. Kindly let us know where you're tuning in from, and share your thoughts in the comments section. Lanyah wasn't just another face in her Cincinnati neighborhood. Born in April 2004, she carried herself with fierce independence and an unapologetic confidence that made her unforgettable. At just 20 years old, she had a 1-year-old daughter who meant everything to her, ambitions that stretched far beyond the blocks of Evanston, and a passion for rap music that had begun carving her identity. But on December 7th, 2024, all of that came to a violent halt. Deep in a wooded trail, her life was stolen in a hail of bullets. 8 shots fired, with shell casings scattered like pieces of final, cruel puzzle. Investigators quickly ruled out robbery. This wasn't random. This was a cold, calculated execution, carried out by someone who wanted Lanyah gone. Her family was left shattered, clinging to candlelight vigils, spelling out her initials in desperate memorials, and pleading for answers that never came. Even after 8 long months, no one has been held accountable. A killer still roams free, while Lanyah's loved ones grieve without justice. This case forces us into a world of jealousy, fragile love, and the fatal consequences of trusting the wrong person. Somewhere in the shadows, someone knows exactly what happened. From the very beginning, Lanyah's life carried a special spark. Her mother, Naisha, saw it immediately. The kind of spirit that could light up any room. Her grandmother, Janet, described her as pure joy, a girl whose laughter was infectious and whose presence felt magnetic. To those who loved her, she wasn't just a daughter or granddaughter. She was everybody's baby, the one you could depend on when the world seemed uncertain. That sense of reliability and warmth made her stand out, but so did her boldness. As a teenager, she exuded confidence that few her age possessed. On social media, she often declared, "They can't mess with me, not even a little." It wasn't arrogance. It was a reflection of her self-worth and resilience. People were drawn to her strength, her honesty, and the energy she carried everywhere she went. Everything shifted when Lanyah became a mother at 19. For her, motherhood wasn't a burden. It was a transformation. Overnight, her priorities realigned around her baby girl, who became the center of her existence. Friends and family watched as she poured every ounce of love into raising her daughter, celebrating every smile, every milestone, and every moment as treasures. The bond between mother and child wasn't just strong, it was unbreakable. Lanyah often spoke of her dreams for her daughter's future, envisioning birthdays filled with laughter, schools where a child's potential would be nurtured, and a home where unconditional love provided safety from the world's harshness. Her maternal instincts were fierce. She was determined to protect her daughter not just from harm, but from doubt, neglect, and fear. That devotion would ultimately play a haunting role in her story. Even as she embraced motherhood, Lanyah refused to abandon her dreams. Music, especially rap, had always been her outlet, and it became even more important after she had her child. Through lyrics, she processed her experiences as a young mother and a young woman navigating life in Cincinnati. She immersed herself in the local rap scene, connecting with aspiring artists who shared her struggles and ambitions. Her raw honesty resonated with others. Every lyric reflected her truth, the challenges, the aspirations, the resilience. Social media amplified her voice, giving her a space to share her work and shape a persona as an artist. Unlike others chasing an image, Lanyah remained unapologetically herself. She wasn't interested in pretense. She wanted her music, her story, and her reality to speak for themselves. Balancing motherhood and an emerging music career was no easy feat. She managed sleepless nights, diaper changes, and the relentless responsibilities of parenting while carving out time for writing, recording, and networking. Yet Lanyah juggled it all with determination. Those who knew her could see the potential. She had the grit, the talent, and the authenticity that might have propelled her into real success. But success, especially in competitive, male-dominated spaces, breeds jealousy and rivalry. In the rap scene, attention can be dangerous, and rising stars often become targets of envy. For Lanyah, her bold confidence and growing visibility may have attracted not only admiration but resentment. As investigators pieced through her life after the shooting, it became clear that her death wasn't about random violence. The execution-style manner suggested intent. Someone who knew her, who had a motive strong enough to end her life with precision. That someone could have been lurking in her personal circle, perhaps hidden beneath the facade of friendship, love, or loyalty. In cases like these, the line between ally and enemy blurs. Investigators pointed out that evidence indicated Lanyah's killer wasn't a stranger, but someone she had trusted deeply. That trust, tragically misplaced, may have cost her everything. Her murder has left Cincinnati shaken. How could someone so young, so full of life and potential, be silenced in such a ruthless way? Her daughter, too young to understand, will grow up with only memories and stories of the mother who adored her. For the family, the pain is unrelenting. Candlelight vigils may keep her memory alive, but they do little to soothe the anguish of unanswered questions. 8 months later, the silence remains deafening. The killer has yet to be brought to justice. Detectives continue their work, combing through evidence and pursuing leads, but with no arrests, the case remains open. Somewhere out there, a person knows the truth, perhaps watching, perhaps pretending to mourn, convinced they've gotten away with murder. But cases like this never truly disappear. Someone carries a secret too heavy to bury forever, and every day, the possibility grows that it will come to light. For now, the memory of Lanyah Dawson lives on the hearts of her family, her friends, and a community that refuses to forget her. Her story is one of ambition, love, and devastating betrayal. It's also a reminder of how quickly trust can turn fatal and how fragile life can be when jealousy and resentment collide. As the case lingers unsolved, the question isn't just who killed her, it's why. And somewhere, the person responsible is still walking free, believing justice will never catch up. But they're wrong. Behind the bright smile she shared online, and the proud image of a young mother, 20-year-old Lanyah Dawson was carrying struggles that few people truly understood. Her life looked confident and secure to outsiders, but privately, she was dealing with challenges heavy enough to overwhelm someone twice her age. While she presented herself boldly on social media, her romantic life remained far more secretive. Posts occasionally hinted at men in her orbit, faces her family didn't know well, names that were rarely mentioned at home. These quiet glimpses would later become critical to understanding her final months. Who exactly was Lanyah involved with? Were these short-lived connections? Or had she been seeing someone significant who kept himself hidden from her family's view? The fearless confidence that made her magnetic also had the potential to stir envy. People who shine too brightly often attract resentment, especially from those who feel overshadowed by their boldness. Lanyah refused to shrink herself or apologize for her worth, and it's possible that someone close to her couldn't handle that. Add to this the heavy reality of financial strain, something many young single mothers face. Bills stack up, childcare costs become overwhelming, and the line between survival and desperation can grow thin. Was she leaning on people who didn't have her best interests at heart? Were there debts or financial dependencies that placed her in dangerous situations? Looking back, her loved ones wonder whether there were warning signs that seemed ordinary at the time but carried hidden danger. Was there a relationship that looked supportive but was actually controlling? Were there people who claimed to care for her but secretly resented her independence and ambition? What appeared routine may have been quietly building toward a deadly outcome. The question that still lingers is whether her death was a result of a spontaneous burst of violence or if someone had been calculating her destruction for weeks. December 7th, 2024, began like any other day in Lanyah's world. She woke up to her daughter's giggles. Those morning sounds had become her alarm clock and her greatest joy. Her daily rhythm followed. Diaper changes, feeding, and those precious moments of playtime that grounded her in motherhood. Family conversations flowed throughout the day, woven into her routine as naturally as breathing. Around 9 a.m., her mother, Naisha, sent her the usual good morning text along with weekend chatter and family updates. Lanyah replied with cheerful photos of her baby playing, snapshots that radiated her pride as a young mom. The text continued during the afternoon. Playful comments about dinner plans, casual jokes about relatives, even a few complaints about the biting Cincinnati weather. For investigators, what stands out about these exchanges is how completely normal they were. Nothing suggested that Lanyah was worried, fearful, or preparing for something unusual. To Naisha, it felt like just another day in their steady rhythm of communication. Later, she would voice the haunting thought that if her daughter had sensed any danger, she would have called without hesitation. Their bond had always been one of trust and openness. Yet sometime after 6 p.m., everything changed. The timeline shows steady communication until that point, but then came silence, no calls, no texts, no activity on social media. For a young woman who lived much of her life online, the quiet became deeply significant. Investigators have never been able to piece together those missing hours. The unanswered question is what, or who, convinced her to leave her daughter behind and step out into the December night without telling her family. That choice, still unexplained, would lead her into darkness. By early morning, the truth revealed itself in the most devastating way. Mount Airy Forest, Cincinnati's largest municipal park, spans nearly 1,500 acres of dense woods and winding trails. Families use it by day for gatherings and hikes, but after nightfall, the sprawling landscape turns cold, isolated, and unsettling. Deep inside this vast park lies Trail Ridge Road, officially closed to vehicle traffic yet accessible to those who know its paths. This secluded spot, near but not visible from Cincinnati Police Department's District 3 headquarters, will become the scene of unspeakable violence. Whoever chose the location had knowledge of its remoteness, close enough to law enforcement to be ironic, yet private enough to conceal murder. At 12:30 a.m., a call to Cincinnati police shattered the night. A voice trembling with shock reported the discovery of a body along the 4900 block of Trail Ridge Road. Officers rushed to the scene, unprepared for the brutality awaiting them. On the cold pavement lay Lanyah Dawson, motionless, surrounded by pools of blood. Scattered around her body were 8 9mm shell casings, each one evidence of deliberate intent. The details were chilling. Gunshot wounds to her head confirmed what the casings already implied. This was no chaotic shooting. It was an execution-style killing carried out with ruthless precision. Close-range shots suggested the killer looked her in the eyes before pulling the trigger. Each bullet reflected a decision made in cold blood. The sheer number of shots, 8 in total, went far beyond what would be required to end a life. Investigators recognized this as either uncontrolled rage or a calculated determination to make survival impossible. Crucially, the absence of drag marks or displacement indicated that she died exactly where she was found. No evidence suggested her body had been moved. The location itself became part of the message. Whoever killed her brought her there with the clear intention of carrying out the crime on that lonely stretch of road. This was not a robbery gone wrong, not a random act of violence, but a targeted execution. The excessive gunfire told a psychological story. 8 shots into a young mother's head revealed more than just a desire to kill. It showed obsession, hatred, or perhaps a fear that she might somehow endure. It forced investigators to consider motive. Was this the eruption of raw emotion, the kind of rage born in a heated argument? Or was it the final step of a carefully prepared plan, executed without hesitation? Either explanation paints a portrait of a killer both capable and determined. For Lanyah's family, the horror is inescapable. Hours before her death, she had been laughing with her mother in texts, sharing photos of her daughter, living life as though she had endless tomorrows. By nightfall, she was gone, her light extinguished in the very city she had called home all her life. The questions remain agonizing. Who convinced her to leave? Who pulled the trigger and why? As of now, those answers remain buried in silence, and her loved ones are left waiting for the truth. The forensic team moved with methodical precision, documenting every detail of the crime scene in Mount Airy Forest. The blood spatter told a chilling story. The trajectory of each 9mm round, the force of impact, and most disturbingly, that Lanyah had been stationary when the attack began. There were no defensive wounds on her hands, no sign of a struggle, no evidence she tried to run. This wasn't a fight that escalated. This was an execution, deliberate and cold. The 8 shell casings scattered across the pavement painted the same picture. Someone wanted to make absolutely sure she wouldn't survive. The weapon, a 9mm handgun, was both a crucial lead and a frustrating dead end. It's one of the most common firearms in America, and in Cincinnati alone, thousands of people own one legally. If investigators could locate the exact weapon, ballistics would confirm it beyond doubt. But finding that single gun among countless others felt almost impossible. What investigators found most striking, though, was what wasn't there. In today's world, almost every crime leaves behind a digital footprint. Cell tower pings, surveillance footage, social media check-ins. But this isolated stretch of Mount Airy Forest offered none of it. No cameras, no digital trail, no clue about who lured her there or how they left. Even her phone revealed nothing unusual that explained why she went into the woods at night. Detectives began the painstaking task of retracing her final hours. Her last texts with her mother were perfectly normal, the same kind of playful family exchanges she'd had hundreds of times before. Nothing suggested she felt threatened. Working backward, they tried to reconstruct December 7th minute by minute. When did she leave home? Who convinced her to go out at night when she almost never did? What could have persuaded her to abandon her daughter, even briefly, without telling anyone? Her family was adamant. This wasn't like Lanyah. She was protective, cautious, predictable. Her grandmother put it bluntly. She would never go there on her own. The investigation widened to her entire social circle. Friends, acquaintances, and especially the men who appeared in her social media posts came under scrutiny. Detectives dug through Facebook messages, Instagram DMs, and every communication they could legally access, searching for threats, controlling behavior, or someone trying to manipulate her. The dating angle became one of the hardest parts of the case. Lanyah was a 20-year-old single mother, attractive, active on social media, and connected to many people. Separating platonic friendships from romantic or intimate relationships was a delicate but necessary process. Several men had to sit across from detectives and account for every move they made on December 7th. Some cooperated quickly, others hesitated. But cooperation doesn't always mean innocence, and every alibi had to be checked. Her growing presence in Cincinnati's rap scene added another layer of complexity. The music world can be tight-knit, but cutthroat and reputations matter. Detectives learned quickly that disputes over respect, relationships, or money could spark real violence. Was her rising confidence as an artist threatening someone's ego? Did competition spill into something darker? The possibility couldn't be ruled out. As weeks passed without answers, investigators developed several working theories. The jealous partner theory remained the strongest. Her confidence, her independence, her refusal to be controlled. It could have enraged someone close to her. The execution-style nature of the shooting suggested deeply personal anger, the kind that comes from betrayal, rejection, or exposure. Some investigators believed she may have been secretly involved with someone already in a relationship. That scenario would explain the secrecy, the isolated location, and the extreme violence if things unraveled. Another theory tied back to the rap scene, where rivalries and grudges can escalate quickly, sometimes with deadly consequences. A third theory, a random predator, was considered but seemed unlikely. Nothing about this crime looked opportunistic. The killer chose a location, knew when to strike, and fired with chilling precision. Perhaps the most haunting theory was betrayal from within her circle. Someone she trusted enough to follow into the dark. Someone she never imagined would harm her. For her family, the lack of progress was agonizing. They wanted answers, not theories. And in the middle of this heartbreak was the cruelest reality of all, her 1-year-old daughter left behind, calling for her mother. The little girl would wake in the morning and cry, "Mommy," not understanding why she wasn't there. She would bring toys to the door, waiting for footsteps that would never come. Her Aunt Marie said it best, "When she grows up, she's gonna have questions, and we need answers for her." Every milestone the child reached without her mother was another reminder of what had been stolen.
And they do need to find justice for her, because it's not fair for her child to grow up and not have justice. When she grow up, she's going to have questions, and we need to have answers for her.
Her first steps, her first words, her first birthday without Lanyah. For the family, grief became a dual burden. Mourning a daughter, sister, and friend while also raising a little girl who would one day want to know why her mother never came home. And that's why this case matters. Somewhere in Cincinnati, someone knows what happened to Lanyah Dawson. Someone knows who lured her to Mount Airy Forest that night and who pulled the trigger 8 times. This wasn't random. This was personal. And until justice is served, a little girl will keep calling for her mother, not knowing why she'll never hear her voice again. The news of Lanyah Dawson's death sent shockwaves through Cincinnati's Evanston neighborhood and far beyond. On December 8th, just one day after her life was taken in such a violent and calculated manner, her community gathered at Walnut Hills High School for a candlelight vigil. It was a heartbreaking scene filled with grief, but also with resilience. Hundreds of people came together that night, holding candles that flickered against the winter air. They spelled out her initials in glowing light, while balloons were released into the night sky, carrying prayers and pain into the darkness. This was more than a vigil. It was a statement, a declaration that Lanyah would not be forgotten. Her mother, Naisha, stood before the crowd, her voice trembling with emotion as she spoke about the daughter she had raised, the daughter who had been taken from her in an act of cold-blooded execution. Those present could feel her anguish. They could feel the rawness of her grief. And for a moment, it felt like the entire city mourned alongside her. But the pain didn't stop there. Over 600 virtual candles were lit for Lanyah on the Gun Memorial website, with messages of support flooding in from people across the country, strangers who had never met her but were deeply touched by her story. Her smile, her energy, her youth, her promise, all of it cut short by violence that no one could understand. Local media highlighted Lanyah's story with sensitivity, reminding the public that she wasn't just another crime statistic. News anchors displayed her smiling photographs, vibrant and full of life, and pleaded with viewers to come forward with any information. But as the days turned into weeks, the momentum started to fade. The tip lines remained quiet. No witnesses stepped up. The silence was deafening. And this silence is what makes her story even more devastating. In a city like Cincinnati, where people talk, where rumors spread quickly, someone out there knows something. Someone knows who lured her into Mount Airy Forest on December 7th, 2024. Someone knows why she was shot 8 times, execution style, left alone in the cold night. But fear, mistrust, and a code of silence have left her family without answers. Here we are in August 2025, 8 months later, and the harsh truth is that Lanyah's case remains unsolved. Not a single suspect has been arrested. No official updates have been provided. The Cincinnati Police Department still classifies this as an active investigation, but in reality, months have passed without any public progress. The media has moved on. Headlines that once carried her name now focus on other tragedies. The world has continued forward, while her family remains frozen in their grief, waiting for answers that may never come. For families of victims in unsolved homicide cases, this is the cruelest part, the waiting, the endless cycle of unanswered questions. Who killed Lanyah Dawson? Why was her life taken so violently? Was it someone she trusted? Was it someone she loved? Could the killer have been a familiar face at family gatherings? Someone who smiled at her child? Someone who blended into their lives while harboring a deadly secret? These questions don't fade with time. They grow heavier, more suffocating. Her daughter, just a year old at the time of her murder, is now approaching her second birthday. She's walking, speaking, growing into a curious toddler. But she's also growing up without her mother. The little girl who once called out mommy now plays in a world shaped by absence. Family members raising her do their best to share stories, photos, and memories. They want to know that her mother loved her deeply, that she was proud to be her parent, that she had dreams of building a future filled with music, love, and joy. But how do you explain to a toddler that her mother was taken away by violence? How do you give her answers when you don't have any yourself? And one day, that little girl will start asking questions. She will want to know about her mother. She will want to know what happened on December 7th, 2024. She will want to know why justice never came. Right now, her family has no answers to give her. That is the haunting reality they live with every single day. Someone out there knows the truth. This isn't speculation. In every unsolved murder case, there are pieces of information, fragments of truth, hidden conversations, or details that someone has kept buried. Maybe you're watching this right now and you know something. Maybe you overheard a conversation that didn't sit right. Maybe someone confided in you when they shouldn't have. Maybe you saw something that night, but told yourself it wasn't important. Or maybe you know exactly who was with Lanyah in her final hours. If you're that person, understand this. Silence is not protection. It's prolonging a family's agony. It's allowing a murderer to walk free while a child grows up without her mother. If you know anything, even the smallest detail, you have the power to bring this family closer to justice. The Cincinnati Police Department is waiting for your call. You can contact a homicide unit directly at 513-352-3542. If you're worried about your identity, you can remain completely anonymous by calling Crime Stoppers at 513-352-3040. There's also another tip line available at 513-765-1212. Cash rewards on the table for information that leads to an arrest, but the real reward is giving this grieving family the closure they so desperately need. Think about it from their perspective. Imagine if this were your daughter, your sister, your friend, your loved one lying in that forest. Wouldn't you want someone to speak up? Wouldn't you beg for answers, for truth, for justice? If you know something, staying silent isn't loyalty, it's cruelty. Lanyah Dawson deserves justice. Her daughter deserves to grow up knowing that someone was held accountable for stealing her mother away. Her family deserves peace. And the community deserves to know that violence doesn't go unanswered. But none of this will happen unless people care enough to act. If you believe that true crime stories like this matter, if you believe families like Lanyah shouldn't have to live in this endless cycle of grief without closure, then I need you to do 3 things right now. Subscribe to this channel so we can keep Lanyah's story alive and bring more attention to unsolved cases just like hers. Share this video on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you can. Because the more people who see it, the greater the chance that the right person, the person holding that crucial piece of information, will finally decide to come forward. And comment below. Tell us what you think. Tell us what justice means to you. Tell us what you would want if this were your family. This isn't just about telling stories. It's about demanding justice, keeping victims' names alive, and making sure the people who committed these crimes know that they will never be forgotten. Next week, We'll be covering another unsolved case from Ohio, another family waiting for answers, another story that needs to be told. But for now, I'll leave you with one question. If this were your daughter, your sister, your best friend, would you want the world to move on, or would you want people to keep fighting for justice? Justice starts with all of us.